Well, welcome back to the ARC Path.
My name is Bernard,
And I'm Casey.
and we are talking about communication today.
We are digging in and doing the work.
Oh, come on. I thought we were just going to have a casual conversation about communication. You have to bring up work into it.
I have found that it's worthy work in that sense that communication is probably the thing that we take for granted the most. I'm doing fine. I don't know what's wrong with you.
Hmm.
I shared what I was trying to communicate. It must be a problem with your ears.
We haven't even started, and you're already blaming me for that dysfunction.
Absolutely right. And I'm blaming you because I'm now going to judge you and tell you it's because you didn't, work on it that it's a problem.
But it's not my fault.
We are so equipped with blame and judgment and the ability to deflect in our communication. It's like we all have a master's of how to find the problem. We all have this higher level of education about using manipulation and shame to get what we want. I think that's part of life. And then we come to the point in life where we go, I just want people to understand what I'm trying to say.
Mm.
And we have no clue how to do that.
Well, I think I'm better than you. So let me highlight. I learned to communicate on the first day that I was born.
Absolutely.
As soon as I came out, I started screaming, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody held me and told me they loved me.
Yeah.
Come on, can you do better?
And then when you wanted something to eat, you screamed again and you got it. And when you were uncomfortable, you screamed again and you got it.
That was yesterday.
Yeah. Take away my punchline, and that was just yesterday. And yet we joke about it because that is why I say we all have a master's in getting what we want with
Yeah.
very faulty communication.
Yes.
And then when somebody doesn't reply or respond to our need because we articulated, we feel, I was very clear in telling you I was not happy. Communication. Welcome to the ARC Path today.
Welcome to the ARC Path.
A communication is one of our 5 lenses, and it is the lens that I honestly probably have spent the most work on. It's what I got my undergrad, my BA in, and along the journey, being a public speaker, recognizing that in order to communicate and connect, it's very different than just simply communicating. And what a joy it is to be here on the ARC Path with you today, Bernard.
Thank you. Thank you. I celebrate that. And so when he says to be here with me, but let me tell you who I am. I am Bernard the Great. And you guys don't know that. And it's a big part of my internal identity is I think I'm great. I think I'm great at so many things. Communication, of course. I know how to express what I have in my head, but I don't need to use so many words. You're going to understand me because I'm Bernard the Great.
And Bernard's biggest challenge in communication is recognizing when to use sarcasm and how sarcasm lands with some people versus others. And it's not always so clear.
Okay. But he gets me. See, I communicated.
Perfect. And we highlight that. If you weren't watching on video, you can go to YouTube and watch that. There was one of the beauty things about communication is it truly, we spend so much time on getting the right words.
Yeah.
And the words are so little in the whole of what we're communicating. So if you didn't visually watch Bernard communicate that, it would have been a lot more clear had you to be able to see his facial expressions and the tone that he was moving with his body language as he used I am Bernard the Great. It does have a good ring, though.
It does have a good ring.
Did you hear my sarcasm?
No, I didn't. See, it's subjective. I choose because what you said was truth.
Yeah.
And so I heard it as truth.
Amen.
Um,
Amen. So where do we want to go today other than to prop ourselves up and tell us, everybody, that, gosh, we figured it out. Have we figured it out?
Well, it's just I want to I'm trying to get to the end really fast because the way to the end, Casey said work. And let me get us to the end, and then we can come back. But we have to sprint. If we don't get to the end, we'll never get to the end.
Amen.
Communication does 2 things. It either undermines our hope or it elevates our hope.
Mm-hmm.
It's not neutral. And so when we succeed in communication, it elevates our hope that we are seen, we are heard, and then ultimately we are known. And then vice versa. If our communication does not land, we lose hope. I am not seen. I'm not heard. I'm not understood. I'm not known, and it pushes us down. Now it pushes us down. Anger comes up, and a lot of stuff. But again, just that's kind of that end point is communication is anchored in that ultimate reality of am I hopeful or not, and it's a big part of that.
And Bernard sprinted us to the end. It was beautiful. Now let me give you two words that are going to be all about the journey to get from beginning to end. Is as Bernard just described that. Were you curious about what he was intending, expressing, and sharing, or were you critical about? Wow, he just really doesn't know. He has no clue. Oh my gosh, I would have said it better or different. The heart of the podcast today is the fact that you can't be both curious and critical at the same time. And in communication, the key is to stay curious, to have a desire to understand rather than critical when somebody doesn't understand you. We can unpack that, write good books about it, read 10,000 books about it. But really, at the heart of communication is getting really curious about the other person and being open to feedback with curiosity as well. What are you hearing me say? And then if they get it, quote unquote, wrong, rather than going to judgment and blame, well, why weren't you listening to me? My key word, and if you're ever in communication with me, you'll hear this. I'll go fascinating. Um, that's not what I was intending to communicate at all, but how fascinating that that's what you heard. Help me understand what it was that I said that led you in that path because I want to learn to follow you.
Yeah.
And this is where communication hits this element that if you are exhausted, if you are depleted, if you are without any resource, it feels like communication is constantly work,
Right.
and that it is.
Well, and the uh, Casey gave us terminology, and I just I want to help bring that terminology more to light.
Mm-hmm.
As we talk about curiosity, again, Bernard the Great, I think I am curious, and ultimately, we all think we're curious as needed, and of course, as needed now, that's a whole spectrum. And then, so do I live a lifestyle of curiosity? And of course, that's a whole other conversation. But curiosity, if you really want to understand it, it's intimacy.
Mm.
In order for me to be curious about Casey or somebody else that I'm talking to is intimate. Is I have to silence what I think, as as Casey talked about, critical, to be critical or judging and moving from that perspective. Is tell me, why do you think that? Why do you say that? And that's intimacy. I'm getting to know him. I'm getting to understand him. I'm hearing him, and whether I agree with it or not, that's not really the point. The point is it's intimacy, and am I connecting? Am I hearing you? Am I understanding you?
Mm-hmm.
And not to be curious is to go, I don't really care. What you just said was XYZ, and that's what my brain tells me is XYZ. I don't believe that. I don't think like that. And then of course you go the distance, going, there's something wrong with you and the way you think, and then, or I have to set you straight because you're messed up.
Yeah. And just the visual demonstration, because you did it with your hands while we were talking.
so,
It
so
was
so
beautiful.
sorry for all the offense.
No, it was good. As you talked about intimacy, you leaned in,
Yes.
and intimacy is about the space between us.
Yes.
And it's not my space and it's not your space, but it's our space to get curious about what happens if we both move into that space.
Yes.
A lot of times in communication, I'd like to keep you where you're at, and I want to take more territory.
Mm.
Or I want you to come towards me and I want to stay grounded where I'm at. So we're not actually having a intimate connection. I'm either
Yes.
pulling you or pushing you.
Yes.
And then you went into the judgment and you went into the criticism and you pushed us apart. And that is exactly what we need to begin to recognize is happening in a not such a physical manner, but in a I'll use the word energy or atmospheric a sense. You can feel people, and that's what we love about a good communicator. Sometimes we point to the words they say or what they look like. It's easier to listen to somebody that looks good, people say that kind of thing, but really it's about um, the ability to move into shared space,
Mm.
and it's not threatening in that place.
No, no, it's. I think as we look at society today, and most of the dysfunction, getting probably, from a developmental perspective, we're learning and understanding so much, but we're missing intimacy at such a rapid rate. Because we're so busy. In the past, people weren't so busy. They didn't have as much to do. They didn't have as much stuff to keep them busy. Right now, we are so busy that we don't really have time to be curious. Let me just tell you how it is. And then we miss the opportunity to learn about the world, the changes, not just in our environment, but in each other.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing? How's your family? How's this work going?
I'm humoring myself in when you come home. Your wife likes to post on social media. My wife likes to post on social media, especially your wife on the weekends, because that's where all the events are happening. And rather than reconnecting with our spouse by saying, "Hey, how was your day?" Or "Hey, what's going on? How are you?" We give a report. Well, I can see that you were here. I saw that this happened. I saw that this happened. Is there anything else we need to talk about? Because really, I don't have time. But thanks
We're
for.
on the air. You're gonna.
You don't actually do that, do you? Oh, but we don't have time for curiosity. How was
No.
your day?
Yeah.
What's going on? Tell me about it.
Yeah.
What's on your mind? Well, no, can we just shortcut this? Could you just send me 4 or 5 posts?
Bullets.
Bullet
Bullet.
points.
I don't want
Just
details.
I don't want intimacy. I just want the facts.
Uh,
And communication. What a joy. Let me draw out a few more words that we're really looking at today. Is okay. So what do we do, Casey? I love that Bernard is using this narrative in this Bernard the Great. I want to invite each of you to find that place to
uh,
write your greatest story. But you got to write your story in a way that people connect with it. That's that intimacy that they can understand and they can be drawn into it. And that's really the journey of communication today: is sharing our story in a way that people feel invited into it.
yeah.
They have to be able to connect with it, which means we have to be authentic
Yeah.
and
It has to be
intimate,
real. It has to
and
be real.
just
Yeah.
that genuine sense of this is who I am
Yeah.
all the time. And
Mm,
then people are like, I want more of that.
yeah.
And really, that is the heartbeat behind the ARC path. It's let's do life together.
Yes.
We're not going to fix any problem. We're going to walk along a journey to discover what's better. And then as we discover something better, we cling to it until we find something better.
Yeah.
And along that way, we really learn to write our story.
Mm. That is so good. I think um as we're in a mutual lifestyle pattern where we journal, we write a lot, and as we do that, we learn about ourselves, and then we share, and we've learned to do this in our friendship, for many years now. It is so critical for you, as Casey says, don't just write it up here, write it. Because if you're gonna, as you write what you're curious about, and it doesn't always have to be about an event, it could be a thought, an emotion, translating a Bible verse, translating
Hmm.
whatever it is that you're curious about. Write it, because you're gonna learn more about you, and then find a friend to share that with. I think it's Bernard the Great in my own head as great as that sounds, it's really empty. We need to share our greatness, the joy, the connection, all the stuff that we celebrate. If I don't have a friend to share it with, that's a problem. And I think that's where that curiosity is. Do I just come to Casey, go, I'm just gonna wait for Casey to stop talking so I can just blurt out everything that I want to say? Oh, I got it off. Now I'm going to move on to the next thing. No intimacy with that. There has to be
Mm,
curiosity about friendship and connection.
amen. We stumbled into this relationship conversation, our relationship, our relationships with our wives. Those are intimate places of connection. And I just want to invite anybody listening today, if you don't know how to build more intimacy in your life, the first thing I would give you is just the word play on intimacy. Is the word intimacy is into me you see, and a lot of us have walls,
Yes.
and those walls are what we do to keep ourselves safe and people at a distance. And
Yep.
communication is designed as a bridge. So what we're talking today about is building bridges from where you're at into the lives of others. Curiosity is it's the way by which you build bridges.
Yeah.
You're not connected to the other side, but you want to know if you could.
Yeah.
Let me just leave that there. We'll come back to it. What do you want to take from that before I?
Well, I I know we're talking. My mind jumped.
Yep.
To be honest, I because I wanted to. Where we started the podcast, you said something, and you've heard Casey say this many times. I've heard it. If you've watched any of the Ark encounters, when Casey talked about, "I am unshakable when filled with hope." I wrote it down because as in a context of communication, when you know that uh, you're going to be heard, and you're going to be understood, you're filled with hope. You become unshakable. If you've been in a relationship, and your spouse doesn't get you, your kids don't get you, you're shakeable. You're shaken all the
Mm-hmm.
time, and when you're shaken all the time, you're not filled with hope. And that means you need a coach. You need a coach to make you a better communicator, because you can sit there and you can point at your spouse and your kids and your coworkers and go, "There's something wrong with you." And the reality is, there's something wrong with you. We have to be better communicators, but we need a coach. And until I started to recognize that Bernard the Great has a communication problem, my life was changing exponentially backwards, because I was becoming more and more shakable every day, and I had to get more angry so people can really pay attention
Mm-hmm.
to me, and that sucked. And so get a coach. Get into an ARC workshop, get a coach that's going to help you communicate, because you're being shaken every day. And as a result, we lose more hope every day. And I I wanted to bring it back because communication has been, I'm one of the biggest advocates of communication. It it brought me the most pain in my life. Imagine that.
And cost you the most amount of money.
It's still costing me, with all of my understanding, knowledge, by far. Guys, I'm not joking. In business, in relationships, it's costing me the most, and I have 1,000 times more awareness of it today than I've ever had in my life. And so get communication. Get a coach, get onto an ARC workshop, work on your communication. The price of the workshop is ridiculous. Get into the workshop. It's a monthly charge. It's $89. You might find a coupon to get started, guys. It's nothing. It's nothing. Get in there, but change the way you communicate. And you will see how great you really are. But that's an everyday reality. You will learn what that looks like. I'm so sorry. I know you wanted to take us in a different direction. I did not want to lose the opportunity
It
to put that out.
and so I'm gonna build right along with it and come towards you. That's the curiosity. It's the intimacy. Um, what I'm hearing you articulate is the vision.
Yes.
It's the available opportunity for others to have breakthrough.
Yes.
It is the story of your own breakthrough.
Yes.
It's the vulnerable, genuine expression that you just shared, that as a successful business leader, owner, and director of enterprise, you can look back and go, poor communication has cost you not just money, but relationships, opportunities, connections, all sorts of other things,
Health,
health,
fitness. I mean, you name it.
and yet it's still, you're not saying just get it done. It's a daily journey.
It's a daily journey.
And that daily journey is what the ARC path unveils, because sometimes the hardest person to listen to in the world is ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm going to re-listen to the podcast and go, oh, I would have just nailed that. Listen to yourself. but there was a slur in there. There was a stutter. Oh my gosh, can't I get that right? What's wrong with me? And now I'm critical of myself.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if you caught that,
Yes.
but how quickly that criticism comes in against ourselves, and I'm no longer curious about that. I wonder why I paused on that word.
Yes.
And I get curious again, and I come back in, and another term that we're not unpacking today is above the line. It's just, oh, there's hope.
There's hope.
And we unpack that. And,
Amen.
and so Bernard's invitation to you is join us on group coaching. Join us in the next workshop. Join us.
Yes.
Be a part of where we're going, because it is available for you. And really what we're going after today is when you get the vision of the better expression of you, that is what makes you unshakable. You become unpulled or undistracted in that sense that you want something so great that you go, whatever it costs, I'm going to go after it. And you get really drawn into that. And then you get the opportunity to share with others how life is changing.
Love that. Love that. And reach out to us, guys. If you are listening to this and you have questions, don't have questions. Get curious. Ask. You want to hear from me personally? I will tell you my personal testimony on communication, and within 5 minutes, you will unveil your own testimony.
Mm.
And that's the reality, is that I am so hypersensitive right now to communication. Is As I'm in conversation with people, guess what? I know. I mean, you want to have mercy, you want to have hope, you want to have strength, you want to be unshakable. Communication is the key, because you start to really understand where people are coming from.
Yeah.
It's no longer this mystery of, oh, this person is just a bad person trying to hurt me. That's those conclusions go out the door. You get curious about the person on the other side of you. You listen to them. You change that relationship, whether it's a client, a spouse, a child, whatever it is. Now you've improved your life and made yourself stronger, and now you're part of a stronger community.
I think we've wrapped it up, brought it around. We're just inviting you to have a great time.
Yeah.
Have a great time with us. Have a great time in the podcast. Get curious. Go back and listen to this podcast again and go, I wonder what I missed the first time. Rather than pointing out what we missed at you heard. Like, oh my gosh, if this is on communication, I can't believe they didn't say this. That's critical. But get curious and go, I wonder what I might have missed. And then share this with somebody. Pass it out there and go, hey, what did you get? And as soon as you take that risk of passing it on to somebody else and say, I really enjoyed this. Tell me what you heard and what you enjoyed and what you took away. Now your curiosity is inviting somebody else to begin a conversation with you, and you get to work on your communication. Let's get together and talk about what you learned, what I heard. How would we improve it? That's not critical. Give us the feedback. Hey, could you guys do a podcast on this or address that topic? Along that way, this is how the community grows. This is how leadership emerges. Eventually, it's going to impact the way you live your life, and it's going to leave you with a mindset of hope. So overall, thanks for listening today on the ARC Path. We are curious, not critical, and we're inviting you to do the same.
I love that. And if you want Casey to change the title of this podcast to Bernard the Great, you can message him directly, something@arcpath.com. We'll see you soon, guys.